Hey, everybody, we're back. It's Monday. Oh my God, big week on This Week in Startups.
Happy Monday. We're going to start the show with some tech news. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite social network, BeReal. Makes me look like a troll, and apparently I don't care because I'm still using it every day. And now I'm even getting ready to pay for it.
Yeah, they're going to, apparently they don't want to use ads. I have an idea for them to split the difference and maybe have some subscriptions and some ads. We'll talk about my idea. Molly will react to it. And speaking of social media, it turns out the platforms are finding the fake accounts that it may or may not turn out to be created by our intelligence agencies and the U.S. military.
Yes, and possibly the biggest problem is how easy they were to sniff out. Then we go into the latest with Apple. You always get penalized for being an Apple early adopter. There's a little bit of a bug in the iPhone 14 Pro camera. We'll break that down a little bit for you.
And then we'll cover Jeff Lawson, friend of the pod and founder CEO of Twilio, saying they are planning to make anti-racist layoffs, what that means, and how we should think about layoffs in the era of diversity and inclusion.
And that is not all. We also have another great segment of We Live in the Future. We're talking about maglev, super fast, fully electric transportation. Could it ever happen?
If it ever happens. In Canada, they raised $500 million. They want to go 600 miles an hour. God, I hope this happens. We live in the future every Monday. And like every other Monday, it's going to be a great show.
Stick with us.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. A business is only as strong as its people, and every hire matters. Post your first job for free at linkedin.com/twist. Notion is one place for notes, docs, projects, and everyday work that goes way beyond a wiki. Get started for free at notion.com/twist. And Odoo is a fully customizable and fully integrated suite of business apps that lets you build and scale your stack as you build and scale your business. Your first app is free forever, and right now, Odoo is offering $1,000 off your first implementation pack at odoo.com/twist. That's ODOO.com/twist.
All right, Molly, it's Monday. We're back. Oh, my Lord. Is it going to be a big week this week, or you think it's going to slow down?
No, it's never going to slow down, ever. It's never going to slow down.
How's your weekend?
We're full steam ahead on the crisis, and it's not going to stop. I had a lovely weekend of like friends and coziness and football and socializing and cooking. Like it just could not have been more delightful. My Operation Crazy Hummingbird Lady is just like in full swing. They're all over my front yard. It's working.
Wait, hold on. This is a new thing. I know you were doing letterboxing of spoons, but that project's done.
I finished that. And now I'm on
what
Operation.
Crazy on stuff are you doing now?
I just want to attract all the hummingbirds because I love them so much.
Hummingbirds are amazing.
I redecorated my stoop with my fall mums, and I planted some lantanas to attract even more hummingbirds, and it is working. My front yard is filled with hummingbirds, and I'm just like a nutty old bird lady.
You literally are transforming. I'm transforming into a dad. I'm like literally talking about my Nest thermostat and doors being open, and you're doing hummingbirds and letterboxing. We're turning into our parents. This is what's happening. Oh, my Lord.
But you should see my friend Stupid so ready for fall. I'm literally going to have like a crock pot party. Like I'm like, it is fall. And it's going to be 80 degrees in 2 days. So look for this phase to end quickly. But the hummingbird thing is working. It's working so well that during one of our investment meetings recently, one of them flew into the house. So that was a problem.
That's interesting. Yeah.
We've
got like California door situation, like large sliding doors, open outdoor space. And frequently we'll get a hummingbird or a sparrow to come in. Luckily, the birds of prey that surround the peninsula here, below San Francisco, all the way down, we have birds of prey everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're everywhere. I mean, we have turkey vultures, we have hawks, we have bald eagles now on the peninsula. They've been spotted multiple times. Bald eagle population roaring back. So I feel good about that. But I went to the East Bay, took my 3 daughters on a daddy-daughter date. It was very nice. And shout out to, my wife's Korean, so my kids are half Korean. So I try to really work on the Korean culture stuff. So we went for what's called jajangmyeon or jajangmyeon. It's a Korean dish that I'm absolutely obsessed with. It's noodles with like onions and pork on top of it. Incredible.
Yes, please.
And
Amazing.
so I was getting my eye exam last week, which I have to talk to you about because we live in the future. Because, I got my grandpa glasses when I make a day trade, or make a J trade.
Same. I literally got laser eye surgery and still have to wear readers. So what did you find out? Because I need it.
Okay. There are eye drops.
Oh, yeah. I heard about this.
That you put in. Them? She gave them to me on Friday. And I'm looking at a piece of paper. I had just done a test. And there were 5 paragraphs, and I got to the third one. Then I put my readers on, my grandpa readers that you just get for $2 off of Amazon, 3 for $5, whatever bullshit. And she gives me the drops. I can read like I have the grandpa glasses on. So, whoa, what's going on here? So there's this new drop you can get. I got a prescription for it. It's sold out right now. But I'm going to be getting it later this week. I'm waiting for them to fill the prescription. I leave the place 20 minutes later. I take out my phone, which I cannot read Robinhood or Superhuman with these tiny fonts. Because those 2 apps don't change.
Superhuman in particular, like, why does it have to be so small?
Okay, some folks like to have a design aesthetic and, they have great eyesight. And so, great. But, when you change on your iPhone the size of the font, some apps will change, but some apps don't because it'll break the design that they've gone for. So they're just like, put on glasses. Anyway, I pull out Robinhood, I pull out Superhuman, and I can see for the first time in 3 years.
And it really works, yeah.
It works. And
Did it sting? I've heard some people say that they can sting.
When you first put them in. It's like you got a little pepper. You ever get mustard or pepper in your eye by accident?
Yeah.
Or something like a little pepper dust. For 5 seconds, it felt like it just had to blink 3 times and it was fine.
Okay.
This is life-changing. If this is the result. And then I looked at my Tesla, my Model Y. I think it's called Venuity is the name of these drops. I look at the maps and I see the map clear while I'm driving. So now I was having this issue when I wanted to use the interface. Some aspects of the interface would be too small for me to see, and I had to put my grandpa glasses on halfway down, look at the road, then look down. It was a disaster.
Oh, this
is game changer.
That's danger. Viewity is what it's called.
These
I was reading about that. I read the New York Times because I was in the same boat. I was just like, this is absurd. I, paid all this money, went through this whole LASIK thing, fixed my I'm going to die in an earthquake vision, but still have to wear readers. It seems like people have reported the stinging and a little bit of like red, like droopy dog thing. But honestly, I feel like that's because this is version 1.
Yeah.
And the fact that this exists and is just going to keep getting better is a game changer.
So
game changer.
My, what do you call a doctor who works on your eyes? What are they called?
Optometrist.
Okay. Listen, I have never gone. So this is my first time since I was a kid. So the optometrist happens to be Korean. She's friendly with my wife who goes there. And she told me about this Jajimyeong place. So I went to Oakland.
Oh.
So this is a big weekend for me. I got a great recommendation for Jajimyeong. So the name of the place is Gangnam, Gangnam, Jajang, Jajang. This is as good as the Dragon on Vermont in LA. LA, we have the biggest Korean district outside of Seoul in Korea. And I don't live there anymore. So anyway.
Oh, I know. Yeah. This is like our little Koreatown. This little stretch of Oakland is totally Koreatown. You get super authentic food and they are helpfully tell you how to eat it a lot of times.
Yes. Well, they will. Yes. Because they give you the pajang, like the little dishes around it. They'll give you vinegar. They'll give you soy sauce. They give you a couple of dipping sauces. You need to ask. And it's okay to ask. They'll totally tell you.
Yeah.
Like for some, when you're getting barbecue, they give you sesame with salt in it. And you're like, what is this for? It's like, it's only for the beef. You don't put the bulgogi in there because that's already dressed. It's for the beef that has nothing on it. No marinade. Anyway, then I went to a place called Milk Bomb. So I just looked and I told the girls, here's all the highest rated ice cream. Here's the pictures. And they see a donut filled with ice cream with toppings on it.
Yep.
Which for 6-year-olds and a 12-year-old daughter is like, head explodes. So we went and got that. Then Sunday, I took them to like some gymnastic stuff. And then for breakfast burritos, which, breakfast burrito with a hash brown and bacon in it is, I never thought you could put a hash brown inside a burrito. They went crazy for that. Then if there wasn't enough going on this weekend, because it was a rainy weekend, I took them to an escape room. Escape rooms are amazing. Highly recommend. I'm going to do it for us for a team activity, but
Do it. So fun.
it was great. It was great.
Yeah,
And-
I don't know. I've never done one and I have no good reason. I think it's just like
Do it.
the last couple companies I worked for were not based here. Also, journalists never do anything fun. We don't do any team
You
bonding
just
because we're
complain
all
about the
sociopaths.
world.
Yeah.
Just complain and be cynical.
Be mad about stuff.
Just be mad. Trust me, I was one. I know. Just complain about
Exactly.
stuff.
Just-
The world's going to hell.
Just mad. World's going to hell. Why would you bond? You're
Why
just
bond?
a lone wolf out here trying to
World's coming to an end anyway. Waste of time.
bring down a president. It's your highest, best goal.
Exactly. Well, now it's, I am so optimistic. I feel super optimistic. So, and we had, by the way,
got a little work done because it was a rainy Sunday. Watched football. Oh my God, what a football weekend.
Who's your team?
I don't know.
Have a team?
I'm a little teamless. I
okay.
grew up as a Packers fan because, I
Okay.
grew up in Montana and North Dakota.
Mhm.
In Montana, you either rooted for the Broncos or the Packers, and I just could not. I don't know if you remember the Broncos in the 90s. That was kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Everybody
sure.
in their full, head to toe gear.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I was a Packers fan. Then I sort of stopped being a Packers fan, kind of just in time. Then the Raiders moved. The Niners just don't do much for me, but I guess it's time. I don't know. My brother's just sold
Have
me
you been
on
to a
Tom Brady.
49ers game?
Well, we're going to go. My brother and I are going to the Bucks Niners game in December because we
Great.
want to see Tom Brady
well,
in what is
maybe I'll
almost
go to that. Yeah.
what may or may not be his last season. Well, I accidentally bought 2 extra tickets.
Oh,
that
great.
are pretty good seats. So if you
I'm
want them, I
friendly
feel like
with,
I owe you.
Yeah, sure. How good are they?
Well, they're not Jake how good. They're club.
Okay.
They're club seats.
That's good. That's good. I'm friendly with Jed York, who I think is the owner and runs
So
it.
you're fine. So you don't need my ticket.
No, but he's incredibly generous to me. Like he's like, hey, you want to come on the field or whatever. So shout out to my guy Jed York. But I've gone to maybe 2 or 3 games down there. What a great experience! And I haven't gone on the field yet, but I've gotten some. The suites there is quite an experience. I don't know if you've been to. The suite level is bonkers. Like they'll just make you whatever food you want, and you get this incredible view. And they lowered the suites down to so the suites are actually like.
See, that's great. I feel like
good
suites
level.
are always too high. This is the dumbest thing I have ever done. The stupidest ethics journalism thing I have ever done was that I got invited to go to WrestleMania at Levi when it first opened. And I was like, I don't think it would be totally ethical for me to do that, which is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life because I should have gone to freaking WrestleMania at Levi Stadium. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Well, now you're a venture capitalist doing random acts of journalism on this program. No conflict, no interest.
No conflict, no interest.
I mean, if somebody wants to come and
WrestleMania's
they're a
coming back, if
founder of a
somebody wants
company,
to have us
venture
come to
capitalist
their suite,
sponsor, let's
we
go.
would do that.
Silicon Valley Bank, shout out, get us in your suite. Whoever, we'll come.
I'll be a
take
Niners fan.
selfies.
I guess I could,
And we did a little nice thing. Brad Gerstner had us over to his Barn series, a little private series.
So
you and I did
lovely.
our first public experience. That was fun for you, yeah? You had a
Yeah,
good
it
time?
was great. It was awesome. Jason and I triggered the technocrats together.
I found out subsequently there was like a major Facebook and a major Google person there. So when I was giving,
I met the major Facebook person. Actually, we're good now.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So you're Cinderella and cleaning up my mess. Yes.
No, I was. Remember, she yelled at me. It was my.
All right, she was upset at you. Yeah,
That was my mess. Yep.
That's good. It's good to have debates. All right, listen, we got
she's doing God's work. I'll tell you what. Anyway, yes, we got a
cleaning up
lot
that
of news
mess
to
is
talk about.
Not fun.
No.
All right, I think we got through everything. It's a lot on the dock. We got through the banter here.
We got through the banter, which is
got through
key.
the banter.
The
part of
weekend
the show.
catch up, which is key. It's key.
I think it's good. People are starting to call the show Molly and Jake Al in the morning, so they like the, Molly and Jake Al of this.
We need to get some sound effects. A little
We should
morning
definitely
zoo
do like
situation.
as a goof, like Molly and Jake Al in the morning. Like whole Z100 Zoo radio
100%.
package done. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business because, listen, we're living in turbulent times, so you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the most qualified elite candidates. That's why you need to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster, and they'll do it for free. Then you can add your job and the purple hiring frame around your LinkedIn profile to spread the word. that you're hiring. They've got tons of simple tools over there at LinkedIn Jobs to make screening questions easy so you can find the candidates who really want the jobs. And of course, they have the skills and the experience all out there on everybody's profile, people voting for what skills people have to validate that for you. I don't have to explain how awesome LinkedIn is and all these features. You know that because you're on it every day. And this is why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? That's right. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/twist. That's linkedin.com/TWIST to post your first job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
I'll tell you what I
Make you laugh.
did not do yesterday.
Oh.
I didn't do my BeReal because I was just having such a cozy blanket day and I didn't want to. Because you know who is Presh? Presh is timing his BeReals. He is not being real with his BeReals. I busted him at that exact event. He's like, "Did you do your BeReal already?" I'm like, "Yeah." When the notification came up, he saved it. He is saving his BeReals. Because, the point of BeReal is when you get the notification, you're supposed to be real.
Right.
No. Presh is just hanging on to the notification until something cool is happening and then taking his picture and posting late on purpose.
Interesting.
When he's doing something cool. So people are already hacking BeReal in a million different ways. But all this shows you is that it's the thing we're all talking about and the thing that everybody's doing. And the question we've all been asking is like, great, when is it going to make some money and how? And is that going to ruin it? And today we have some news.
Oh, we do have news on it. Fantastic. Because we did have news a couple weeks ago that they raised a monster round.
Yep.
Congratulations to them.
They
So
raised a monster
BeReal.
round.
And we had news last week that TikTok out-zucked them.
Stone cold
zucked them.
Yep.
And stole everything. Just zucked them hard.
Just no shame in that game at all. Like copy pasta straight up. And then now it turns out that BeReal is starting to talk about how to make money. And according to the Financial Times, BeReal is based in France, we should note. According to the Financial Times, BeReal is, quote, keen to avoid the pitfalls of its U.S. competitors. And by pitfalls, they mean paid advertising.
Okay.
BeReal is going to try to monetize without advertising. Let's see. It's recent raise.
So they're going to do merch. No.
I mean,
merch doesn't make a lot of money.
Do merch, I guess. They're going to introduce
that
some
doesn't
sort
make
of
a lot of money.
Merch features.
Nice, but you're not going to make not for the amount of venture capital there is. Merch not going to work. They're not doing a live event. So it just leaves one thing.
Subscription.
Exactly.
Yep.
So is that what they're doing?
Apparently, they are going to introduce some paid features, and try to get people to try to monetize that way. And
perfect.
At least it's convincing investors. It seems they're in the process of raising an $85 million Series B at a $600 million valuation,
led by Yuri Milner, my pal, from DST Global. Yuri famously did the 10 billion-ish round for Facebook. As we learned in the Power Law book, he bought some shares lower and some preferred shares higher to blend his price, I think, more to the $8 billion valuation. Anyway, that was one of the great bets of all time in Silicon Valley. And everybody thought Yuri Milner was paying too much. So here again, he's betting on a $600 million valuation for a company with no revenue that wants to do subscription, but I think he's going to do it again. I think this company is smart. Somebody should try at scale doing subscriptions.
Gonna like it. I mean, I guess I would like to see someone try that. It's unclear what those would be. It sounds like they aren't likely to launch until Q3 2023. I am having a hard. I mean, honestly, like if it's a yearly thing, like if I just pay and download it from I'm thinking of the app I pay the most for is AllTrails.
I pay for that too.
Right. Which is
I use
super
it
worth
4 times a year.
Probably saved my life on this trip in Montana where we used the downloaded topo maps to figure out like literally how to find a path, a path.
That is the paid feature, right? You can download maps and have them all offline.
Multiple views. You can get the topo lines and the satellite and have it all offline and not die.
What's a topo line? That's topography or something?
Topography. So you can see if you're down the hill and you're supposed to be up the hill, you can use the topography map to figure out what elevation you should be at.
And what is it? I think it's $60 a year for AllTrails.
I think it's a little less, 20 or 30, something like that.
So
maybe
cheap.
I always get it on sale. It's pretty cheap. So I could imagine a scenario in which I was like, you know what? BeReal.
Sure.
I'll pay $10 for the year, $20 for the year. I'd pay $20 for the year for BeReal.
I think people would pay, and you don't need everybody to pay. You just need 10% of users to pay.
Right. Exactly.
To have a huge business. How many people are using this thing?
Apparently, advertising has not been completely ruled out, according to the Financial Times, but they don't want it to be intrusive if it occurs. Let's see how many.
I know there are over 100 million, right?
15 million daily active users.
Oh, 15 million daily active users.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wonder what their...
But it was 10,000 users a year ago.
15 million a day is a lot of people. 15 million a day. So these are, this is cumulative downloads or downloads per day. Worldwide installs from the App Store and Google Play, but it doesn't say, no, does it ever go down? Does the chart we're looking at ever go down? If it doesn't, then it's cumulative. So, and there's no commas there, so I can't see if that's a billion downloads or something of the app.
It's million.
It's a
right?
million?
Or it's 1.2
million?
12 million.
12 million downloads. No, it can't be because it's 15 million daily.
Because there's 15 million daily. So it's 1.2 billion?
Million downloads or 1.2 billion. So it would make sense to me that it was over 1 billion downloads because they have 15 million a day. It would be 1% of the downloads using it a day. They probably have triple the number of monthlies. They might have, if they have 15 million a day, they could have upwards of 50 million a month. If you were to get, of the 15 million daily, 10% to pay, that would be 1.5. 1.5 paying $30 a year would be 100 million in just pure profit a year. Great start. And if they 10x from there, $1 billion a year in revenue. So great start.
And if they really do make the pitch, which no social media so far has had the muscles, the biceps,
the
chutzpah to pitch.
The gall.
Yeah. Like nobody's just come along and said, hey, we'll give you a really great, nice, clean experience with no targeted advertising that follows you all over and stalks you if you pay. Nobody has ever just said it like that. And it would be really interesting to see. And then, you should get a little extra. Like you can keep your BeReal photos and you could do this with them and, whatever, like a little additional.
Here's what I would do.
We'll see.
You do $30 a year, which is $5 a month, right? No, it's less. $5 a month would be 60. So it's $250 a month. $250 a month, $30 a year. You get a special logo on your name and you get to do like 1 or 2 extra features. Like maybe I could get extra lenses or I get to do an extra BeReal at the time I want or something with the time issue. Mm-hmm. Maybe you get to do a retake or something. But anyway, come up with something fun.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would sell 1 advertiser a day gets to sponsor BeReal. And that sponsor gets to have a little logo at the bottom left of every image that's shared that day. So if it was The Walking Dead.
So good. So good at this.
I'm a good product guy. Anyway, if it was The Walking Dead new season, if it was some new Disney film, if it was the new Prius, whatever your jam is, they get a little image that comes up on the bottom left, does a little spin, and then disappears and becomes really small. So 1 global advertiser a day, you price it at a premium, $200 CPM. So, it winds up costing $1 million a day. And you just say, to whoever, it's $1 million a day. And these days before the holiday and before, what do they call it? Is it Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Those are 3 million. You want those days. Those are 3, they're premium days. Every other day is $1 million. And you can buy them now. Watch people race in because there's scarcity and buy all that inventory out.
So good.
And then they get the affinity of supporting a super cool hipster place. That's how I would do it. And no tracking. The only tracking that occurs is if you click. So no tracking on the app. If you choose to go to their website, well, of course, you're going to get tracked. The end. What do you like? Rate my idea.
I mean, I love that.
Rate my idea.
You are a good product guy.
You're good.
You're good. You're good, kid.
You're good. By the way, this guy dropped out of high school, the kid who built it. I want to get this guy on the program. What's his name? Xavier. Wait, the school was Xavier Niels, 42.
That's the coding school that he went to. He went to this coding school in France called Xavier Niels 42. And
that's a weird name for a school, but okay.
Yeah.
So he dropped that. He doesn't have a high school diploma.
He's 26 years old.
And now he's going to be worth if he owns 25% of the business. I don't know how many co-founders he got. Kid's worth 100 million. Good for him.
And they're talking
this is why you don't go to school. Don't go to college. Go to developer school.
Amazing.
Love it.
I had not realized, actually, side note, until today, that the Figma founder was a Thiel fellow.
He was a Thiel fellow.
Yeah.
But I did not see Peter Thiel anywhere in the breakdown of the money made.
I didn't either. But
So this is a failure on
one
Thiel's
of the people
part.
who took the $100,000 to not go to college. Is that what the Thiel fellows did? Yeah.
Listen, you can say what you want about Peter Thiel. That was a brilliant idea. I love that idea. Like, you know, it's super disruptive. It made an interesting statement. Here we are talking about it, and now it has an outcome.
Right.
So what he did was, he's like, I'll pay you $100,000 to quit and go do something interesting in your life. What did that do? It drew out every iconoclastic pirate, rebel, samurai in the world to say, yeah, give me my hundy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're a weirdo with interesting ideas, Peter Thiel. I'll come hang out with you and have coffee. Brilliant move. He's like, I want all the weirdo mutants in the world, and I'll pay you $100,000 to come here. Peter Thiel has his moments. He has his moments. I will say that. I just watched a talk with him about California. He had like some talk at one of these like Republican things, and his California talk was surprisingly self-aware, and he went through the Republicans' like position on things, and he savaged Republicans for being like the most negative group of people and not being like super positive with an actual plan, but just being like regressive and anti-everything. And he said, we need to have like a prosperity plan that actually is positive. We're too negative. I was like, go Peter. Wow, self-awareness. I'll send you the link.
Cool.
I gotta have Peter back on the pod.
Where's his money going?
Well, whatever. I mean, you could do both things at the same time. You could be betting for your team.
You could be a genius and also perpetrating evil. Yes, 100%. Sure.
Well, I mean, there's a million things about Peter and his positions that are incongruous, because these people who are partisan, their partisanship and their own personal opinions, like they're totally partisan and they just want to win, even if it's against their personal opinions. And Peter's gay and married. And they can't find 10 Republicans to do the marriage bill. I mean, it's like, hello, like you're all pro-gay, or the majority of Republicans are pro-gay marriage. Why wouldn't they vote for it? It's like, oh, they don't want to lose the evangelicals. I mean, it's just the height of cynicism and unprincipled behavior, because they just want to win without actually thinking about the issues. So I'd put that aside, but.
Yes. Anyway, I just had not known that he was a Thiel fellow. And obviously, clearly some of these alternative paths are producing, they're not going to it's a power law thing. Don't assume you're going to have the same outcome by dropping out of high school and going to coding school. However,
you're going to do better than if you went to college. If you are good, become a good programmer, I tell you that.
You think
100%.
So?
100%. If you go to coding school instead of college, and we had 1,000 people do that. Let's say 100 for easier numbers. 100 people go complete coding school, complete college. And let's just put independent of degree in college, but a non-coding degree. Non-coding degree, bachelor's, coding. Who's going to be making more money? Because coding school is only 6 months a year. Let's just say it's a year coding school versus a 4-year degree. Who do you think is going to be doing better in the workplace 5 years in? Making more money.
No. I mean, if you went to school for finance, you're going to be making more money.
Maybe. Undergraduate degree in finance? I'm not so sure on average.
Yeah, I don't know. You're probably right. I don't know if we're right in the long term. I worry, like, I think that we're rapidly approaching a tipping point where computers are going to be doing the coding. So there's
possible.
So that learning the design around it or the implementation or the business plan, like that might end up being valuable. We might like circle back around.
That could be funny, actually, because it used to be the developers were like, a dime a dozen. I just need a couple of developers. It's really the Steve Jobs who, coordinates the whole thing, who's important.
Right. And increasingly for front end stuff, for, like, I don't know, we're not, we're creeping up on that.
I think these
not
tools,
now.
There are tools that like, the Google, the Gmail thing where it tells you like what you're about to write and it guesses your next 3 words.
Yeah.
There is the equivalent now on GitHub and other services, GitLab, whatever it is,
for code,
that will write some of the code for you. It'll say, hey, you're doing a login for Facebook. Boom, here's the code. I think you're doing that. Would you like this code snippet?
Yeah.
So
like we're going to get to DALL-E for code.
Yes.
Very soon. Like very soon.
Yeah, 5 years. It's already starting to happen. I mean, how many times when you use that Gmail thing, does it actually guess correctly?
Yeah.
1 out of 3.
Terrifyingly often.
Yeah, 50%. I think it's at 50% for me. I like to write my own words. So when I see it just out of complete contempt for how good it is, I just rewrite it with more flair.
I know, I do too. I never let it. That's
like,
so funny. I'm the same. Like I have the exact same oppositional defiance where I'm like, yeah, nice try. No, I'm just shifting it.
It's like, I'd love to. And it's like, invite you to. And I'm like, yeah, Welcome,
see
you two.
at. Exactly.
Like, screw you. You got it.
I'll be
again.
like, hope to, and it'll be like, talk to you soon. I'm like, catch up shortly.
yeah,
I will
no,
not.
I
You're
do
not going to win, machines.
No. Fight against the machine. Rage against the machine. If you are a startup, you need to sign up for Notion, Notion. Notion is the greatest piece of software I've used in the last couple of years. I love Notion, and I just want you to go to notion.com/twist and sign up for free right now. You go to /twist, you get it for free. At my companies, Inside and Launch, we run the entire companies on Notion, and I run my personal household on Notion. I run everything on Notion, including my own personal notes. Notion is the most amazing tool. It's like a wiki, it's like a database, it's like a Google Sheet, it's got tables. The apps work seamlessly across every device you have. Whether you're on your phone, your iPad, your laptop, your desktop, big screens on desktop, it is perfect. And they have thought about every single function in your life: personal, private, public, business, accounting, sales, CRM, every single function in an organization or your personal life, and they've made gorgeous, stunning templates. If you were to just go to Notion's template library and look at theirs, then you go Notion library, you just type in Notion templates, and then whatever keyword, OKRs, to-do list, task list, whatever you're trying to do, employee reviews. Literally, it's built into Notion. Notion.com/twist to start for free. Again, Notion, 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 what a great name, .com/twist to take the first step toward your organization dominating and being productive. And the knowledge base has arrived, and it's gorgeous, and it's beautiful, and it's Notion. Notion.com/twist. Okay, speaking of raging against the machine.
Yeah. Same segue in my brain.
Same segue in your mind?
Ooh, the information war is real, friends.
Okay.
The Pentagon,
and we suck at it?
And unfortunately, like, spoiler alert, we're not even very good at it. We're doing it, but we kind of suck at it. The Pentagon ordered an audit of how it conducts clandestine information warfare after social media platforms found fake accounts suspected of being run by the U.S. military. Right. So these are accounts that, for example, advanced anti-Russia narratives, citing the Kremlin's imperialist war in Ukraine and warning of the conflict's direct impact on Central Asian countries, and so on and so forth. They found these are anonymous sources in the Wall Street Journal, but they noted that U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, is one of the groups whose activities are facing scrutiny, and that significantly, they found that the pretend personas employing tactics used by countries such as Russia and China did not gain much traction, and that overt accounts actually attracted more followers. And it sort of sounds like, according to the journal, that literally Facebook came to CENTCOM and was like, guys,
are these your accounts?
If we can figure out that it's your accounts, so can the Gen Zs. Like, they can snip it out.
I mean, and the thing is, we found all the Russian accounts, right? And that was part of the Mueller report. Everybody's like, oh, there was no Russian interference, Russian hoax. Mm-hmm. Except the Mueller report has all these indictments, and they found all these boiler rooms where they were creating all these memes and all this stuff. Yeah. There was Russian interference. It's proven. Did it impact the election? Probably didn't change it, but it definitely impacted it on the margins. But the truth is, even those kind of sucked and were easy to identify. Mm-hmm. The problem is anybody trying to identify them, and do they take them time? Do they take them down before they have their impact? Right. So even if they're easy to identify, if I got you to think Hillary Clinton is a lizard with a Pizzagate basement thing, if I influenced you in the 60 days and you found out about it 6 months later, well, it's too late. It already impacted the election. Mm-hmm. So we're done here. Yeah. So I don't doubt that they're easy to spot.
I don't doubt that they're easy to spot, and I'm sure that there are some that are less easy to spot. And this piece makes a good point, quoting people saying, look, our enemies are doing this. Like, PSYOPs is real. We are in an information war, full stop. That is a huge way in which countries, all kinds of countries, including ours and including Iran and including China and including Russia, are attempting to gain advantage and leverage. Yeah. That is unquestionably happening. And so, sources in the government are saying to the journal, like, I hope you don't think that we shouldn't be engaging in this, considering that it's happening. You wouldn't like it. Otherwise, it's a completely one-sided war.
It's asymmetric. We have to do it. But the more important thing to do here
do have to be better.
Is to go find existing people who are influential and flip them. That's what we need to do. We need to find, like, oh, hey, this person's a crazy, left or right person. We need to meet with them and be like, hey, we got you on these things. How'd you like to come work for us? By the way, we know we got you on these things, taxes, whatever, grift that they're doing. Oh, hey, grifter, we know you grifted this. We'd like you to continue your grift. By all means, continue to grift, and we will pardon your grift. But we would like you, there'll come a time where you're going to post some things for us that may go against what you're doing here, but there will come a time when we're going to ask you.
I like it.
That's what I'm doing.
Assets, cultivating assets. By the way,
cultivate some assets.
That
you can
is
be sure,
certainly also happening.
You can be sure there are MAGA assets working for the government, and there are woke, whatever assets on this side. They got them all dialed in. And whenever they want, they're like, yeah, we're going to have you dialed this way or that way. Not for political reasons, but maybe for the safety of the country. Maybe to, find out these maniacs.
Political reasons, yeah.
Yeah, like these maniacs from January 6th. What's the name of them? Oath Keepers?
Oath Keepers.
Like, those idiots are so dumb that they were putting stuff. The reason they're all going to jail is because they all put this stuff into group chat. We're going to flip the election. We're going to take over the government. I mean, they're so dumb. The Oath Keepers and this whole group of people are so dumb that when they wanted to do this conspiracy, they let anybody into a group chat and said, here's the conspiracy.
Yeah.
They were so dumb they didn't even do it in person, where they could say, everybody put your phones in the drawer here. We're going to scan everybody, lift your shirt. The mob knows how to do this. The mob doesn't use group chat.
Yeah.
You go to the clubhouse.
Go to the clubhouse, for God's sake.
Play some poker, and then we're going to have a real conversation. And like 3 guys might ask you to strip down to your skivvies to check if you're wired.
Not saying I know, just saying.
I'm not saying I've been in a situation before where people check for wires, but
tellingly, I'm like, so believe me, you're just speaking my language right now. I'm listening to all the Gray Man books. And then I binged that on my rainy day. I binged that Terminal List show on Amazon Prime, which is unbelievably violent, but I'm just like in full spy mode right now.
Yeah.
So there couldn't have been better timing for me to see this article today and be like, yeah. But
by the way, House of Dragons, I don't want to, Thursday we'll talk about it. I'm sure I just watched House of Dragons last night.
Yeah.
Literally, they're just like murdering wives. Just everybody's getting murdered. It's just, they were like, this time will be different. Nope. Everybody's getting murdered.
Nope.
Everybody's being raped and tortured and murdered and stabbed. It's insanity.
It's insanity.
It's insanity.
Like a crazy bait and switch. Like, I think they were just like, no, don't worry. Lure you in.
And by the way, at the end of the show, 2 people will come on, and it'll be very great gender representation, and they'll explain to you what happened and why it's from the female gaze and why this is, But anyway, it's just chaos and murder.
I will be sure to do. Yeah,
it's an incredible show.
I'm reading the recap. I really like the book version of this. I just read the recaps because I can't stomach it.
If you've had any trauma in your life, or you don't like murder and torture, rape, and anything else, please don't watch the show. They should put a giant. They must put a giant
huge trigger. I mean, it's funny that I just watched a show where like literally a guy gets gutted and paraded around by his intestines, and I was fine with that sort of. But like this,
the sadist. It's the sadism. It's the sadistic nature of some of these shows that
it is.
It's not like somebody just randomly gets murdered or it's a war.
These shows, it's like gleeful. They just
it's the gleeful torture of humans.
Glee.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, our military needs to be better at this. I'm sure we will be. Congratulations.
However, I do want to point out one thing I thought that was kind of interesting. They said the 2 most followed assets in the data, a report by Graphica and Stanford, were that they said the most successful accounts were overt accounts that publicly declared a connection to the U.S. military. So just like be influencers. Just be out here being like
Chinese accounts.
We're the military and we're awesome.
There are known Chinese state actors who have interacted with me and many other folks who are like, you're wrong about what's going on in Shanghai with the lockdown. They'll just interact with you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you get to interact with the press secretary.
Yeah,
like there's always a,
Yeah, own it.
Or for them, it's journalists. Like their journalists work for the state. So you're like, oh, hey, Kara Swisher. And it's like, yeah, I'm Kara Swisher of this Chinese morning, whatever, Herald. But they work. Imagine if Kara Swisher worked for Trump or Putin or whoever's in charge. That's what's happening in China. So you'll have this like high profile journalist who will argue with you. And you're like, I'm having an argument with the journalist. Like, like half journalist, half
you're like,
state.
I don't think you're 100% objective here.
Yeah, they don't have exactly the same line between a journalist and a CIA PR machine. Interesting. It's interesting that people are monitoring this.
Of course they are. We're in an active information war. I mean, when you talk to
sure we are.
NatSec people, they're just like, the idea that we would talk about conflict with China without talking about information is such a bizarre, you cannot segment these things out. Or even like Russia's Ukraine attack also is an information war, like everything is.
I wonder if do you think they put these fake, maybe the accounts that got busted, they put out there to get busted on purpose so you don't get the real good ones?
Kind of what I wonder too. I'm like, I would just put out the klutzy one and hide the good one.
They probably have like 4 layers. Like, here's the ones we know you're going to catch real easy. Here's the ones we know you're going to catch next. These are the ones that you may or may not catch. And then these are the ones where you actually flip the people and you have no idea. And those people will never say it because the second they do, we're going to indict them for the 20 crimes they did that we know about. That's the stuff I love.
I love that stuff. I love I mean, like, I don't believe for a second that we just, and maybe this is me being naive and hopeful, but I don't believe for a second that we're just like so clunky at it that we're just like, hey, fellow kids, I would like to talk to you about U.S. national exceptionalism.
With a skateboard on the shoulder?
Yeah, like, no way.
Hey, would anybody like to talk about the insurrection or Ukraine?
Right.
Hello.
Hey, guys, what do you think about, like, I don't know, storming the Capitol? Like, no, there's a gray man version of this.
Maniacs.
There are people who are good at it.
Yeah, this gotta be. We hope.
We hope.
Listen, if you're a founder or an employee of a startup, it's critical that you become capital efficient at a time like this. Fundraising, really hard. And your burn rate, hey, that might make you unfundable and you want to make that runway last as long as possible. Well, one great way to do that is to cut the cost of running all of these disparate SaaS applications. Why not run on one platform? And that one platform is called Odoo. Using Odoo's suite of business applications means you don't have to have a bunch of messy SaaS subscriptions everywhere that nobody's using, that are costing you all this money. You're getting charged on your credit cards every month. Nope. Everything you need is already in Odoo. All you have to do is turn it on, boop, when you're ready. And they'll only charge you for the apps you use. They want to grow with you. They want to support you. They have over 40 main apps and 16,000 apps from their open source community. We're talking about all the important stuff: sales, accounting, marketing, automation, HR, website builders, and so much more. And this will streamline your business. No more issues transferring your data back and forth and wasting time. Now it's time for the best part. The call to action on this is amazing. The first app you use on Odoo is free forever, okay? And they're so confident they're going to give you $1,000 credit on your first implementation pack. All you have to do is go to odoo.com/twist, odoo.com/twist for $1,000 off. That's odoo.com/twist.
Let's just have a little fun now with the high cost of being an Apple early adopter, because you don't get burned by buying Apple products first out the gate.
Yeah, wait 3 months.
There are reports that the iPhone 14 Pro, Jason found this one early this morning, the iPhone 14 Pro camera, apparently, when users try to operate it, the fancy new camera, whatever it does that's fancy and new, because there always is that with a new iPhone, it evidently makes a rattling noise and
play the clip.
The image
this is
shakes.
Insane.
You got to watch this video.
Just watch the video.
Absurd.
I mean, it feels like it's a joke.
An angry hummingbird fart sound.
It's crazy. I mean, feels like it's about to blow up. It's like Mission Impossible. Like the message you just heard is about to explode in 10 seconds.
So that's a TikTok user named Damien who posted this and said this pretty much only happens in like Snap, in some sort of third-party app. Because it only happens on third-party apps, people think it's probably a software bug. Because of course it is. Because of course Apple did not give these third-party app makers the specs for their fancy new camera stuff, because they might have like leaked it.
Why would it vibrate then? I don't understand. There's like, how does it vibrate? Why does it vibrate?
I don't really understand that, but maybe it's just like, I mean, software controls everything, so maybe it's activating the shutter. And
no. Image state. It has something to do with the speculation is it has something to do with optical image stabilization.
Right.
So it's image stabilization gone like wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying too hard.
Yeah, this is like one of those quick fixes. I think they get the fix out for this in, like 2 days or something.
This is why you wait. Like I'm waiting for 16.1 or whatever the new iOS is. Just call me when there's a 0.1 and then I'll download it. And then you get the second shipment of new iPhones. You never buy the first stuff.
Well, and here's the thing that's really important. There are like these analysts in China and Hong Kong who know all the supply chain. they are saying the demand for the iPhone 14 Pro is insane right now. So this indicates that the Pro version is selling higher than the 14 according to what's being ordered for it. So they're going to have like maybe 10% more phones sold or whatever. So I think my J trade of Apple is going to be higher, is going to be like a big win. Because despite inflation, the great jobs and the spending of Americans continues, even though interest rates have gone up, mortgages are absurdly expensive. We're getting close to triple, or it's over 2x what it was. Mortgages are over 6%. I locked mine in at 2 point something, like absurd.
I mean, more than triple at what the
Is
lowest
it really triple
rates
now?
were, I think. Or triple, and maybe not more than.
Because it was 2.2 maybe at the 2.3 I think I got mine at, and now it's over 6. So that is almost triple. It's 2.5.
Almost triple. I mean, it's crazy. And yet Americans be shopping. Like nobody is slowing down. They're just putting it on credit cards. They're figuring it out. Like,
oh, buy now, pay later.
We have money, buy now, pay later galore. And it's so interesting because the iPhone 14 was like the most perfunctory of updates. I mean, it was like they could barely even be bothered with to sex it up and make it seem like this is an awesome must-have update. But for people who've been holding on since the 12 or the 12 mini, it's like anybody who skipped an update now wants this one. Sure. And they're saying that they are actually going to switch production lines potentially because they are forecasting an increase of iPhone 14 Pro models by about 10%. Amazing. Now, that could also be because people didn't buy that many new iPhones during the pandemic.
Or maybe Apple put in a small order because they thought there would be headwinds in the economy and they were wrong.
Maybe. Huh. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's hard to tell what's going on in the economy right now. Like we keep raising the rates. We're going to raise the rates again. The market has collapsed. It's been bouncing along the bottom, but we still have a lot of jobs, but unemployment may be ticking up a little bit, but it's still historically low. But the amount of inventory in the hot markets is going through the roof for homes, but the home prices haven't come down that much, but price cuts are starting to happen. But mortgages have 2.5x. So I feel like we're right in the slush, like where everything's changing, like we're in the middle of the hurricane, and we're going to know like in the fourth quarter what actually happened.
Right.
Because all the data is trailing.
All the data is trailing. There is only one thing that I can predict with confidence, and that is that Apple will sell a record number of iPhones. Just like it always does.
It's so crazy to me, but I but I think
it's like a subscription service at this point.
Yeah. I feel like we've underestimated the value we get from our smartphones dramatically. And therefore, because we bought them originally for $400, $500, we never conceived of what a great deal a $500 smartphone was. A $500 smartphone that you could sell for $200 after 3 years, or even say $100 after 3 years, means $400. $400 is about $1 a day if you kept it for a year. But if you kept it for 3 years, it's like 35 cents a day. 35 cents a day for a product that does what a smartphone does for you. Most people are using their smartphones 5, 6, 7 hours a day. Means net, you're paying 5 cents an hour to use this thing.
Yeah.
It's worth much more than that. The amount of value you get from it is worth much more.
I mean, it's the thing that untethered you from your desk. It's the thing that opened up a window into the entire world and all of the world's information. It is the thing that gets you where you're going if you're going somewhere. Like if you think about all the
anxiety, depression, loathing, self-loathing, 100%. All these things are part of this.
Ruined all our damn lives, ruined our necks. Like it's why everything hurts all the time because everyone's like,
do you have that thing where you go like this? And you crack your neck because you've been hunched over so much?
Yeah. Text neck.
Text neck. And I think a lot of people I think the eyesight issue is because of the phone as well. Yeah. I am starting to do a little digital detox. When I'm out with my girls, sometimes I will put my phone into airplane mode, leave it in the bag, try to challenge myself for the entire dinner to not touch it. So I'm now having to discuss with my wife, like, hey, listen, I'm going to be out with the girls, but I'm going to be phone light. I will keep it on, but assume I will not see your text. You got to call me. And I have it on Do Not Disturb, but I have you on my favorites list, so you will come through. If it doesn't, call me twice. I think it comes through automatically if you do that. So, I'm trying to detox a little bit on the margins. But yeah, it is what it is. It's, you take the good with the bad, and you have to have some discipline.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of the economy and layoffs and jobs, The rifts continue. People continue to cut down the size of their organizations. I think this is something we expected would happen till the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So there are always second order effects when you do this. I think you and I on this very podcast, maybe a month ago, people were like, hey, the impact of these is going to screw with the diversity inclusion progress people are making.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, I'm trying to remember. Do you remember what our theses or thesi were about why this would happen?
Well, I think we were saying that much like our story notes, that for companies who really embarked on very specific hiring efforts, they have new employees who are likely to be, and also your potentially your least expensive employees are going to be people of color, people from underrepresented minorities, because you have made this like specific effort to beef up hiring. Or even like, I mean, I think we straight up saw it in Warner Brothers, where it was like they had a whole slate of people and shows, media in particular, where it was like you brought on a whole bunch of people to do more diverse programming and then just nuked them all. And so it basically looks like, at least at Warner Brothers, it's like people are saying it looks like
the optics
that Zodslav is just trying to get rid of all the Black people.
Yes.
And it's, it's unclear. It might just be that these are new initiatives that have yet to make any money, and it was the easiest thing to cut.
Yeah. I think that another way to look at it would be a lot of these companies really cared about diversity inclusion. They tried it, I don't know, let's say in the developers. And there's a pipeline problem there. Maybe they couldn't fill those positions as much as possible. But they found, oh my God, in customer support, in marketing, in whatever other category, some entry level thing, somewhere where you're hiring a large number of employees, we could hit our diversity goals there.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, okay, well, let's just get the diversity win because the world is really pissed at us, rightfully so. So we'll try to get more diversity on the customer success team.
Yep.
Okay, now you don't have as many customers. You're Airbnb, you're Twilio, you're whoever. Okay, we have too many customer success people. We're going to automate some of that and we're going to make cuts. But that's where your diversity inclusion was, doing really well. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden your diversity numbers crash or crater because of that. So Twilio made an announcement that they were cutting 11% of their workforce last week. And this is where we knew somebody would anticipate this, but I didn't think somebody would vocalize it. A friend of the pod, Jeff Lawson, said the layoffs would be carried out through an anti-racist, anti-oppression lens to avoid dramatic impacts to marginalized group. Okay, good intent, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's now getting dunked on everywhere because of this, because people are like, well, that means you're going to lay off the white people or the Asian people. And here we are in the circular racism, anti-racism discussion. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a super messy discussion, and it's a hard thing to have said because he said it on TV, right? Like there was there's not a lot of room for nuance or even explaining what that means. Like if what he means is literally a lens, like we're just going to make sure that we're not using unconscious bias to get rid of employees without thinking. We're going to keep this top of mind and ask ourselves what it means for our company. Or we're going to say, wait, did we actually just staff up customer success with more diverse hires instead of actually, creating training and like, are we going to make up for layoffs that we have to do? Like this could mean so many things within an organization, but we are so racially triggered right now as a country. And really divided with a lot of like overt racism that is manifesting as like, oh, well, when you say this stuff, you're just virtue signaling or being woke or whatever. And as opposed to like trying to correct longstanding problems and be conscious of what it might look like when you do layoffs at your company. It's just like, it's a hard and a deep and a nuanced conversation to have. Which means, of course, that we're not going to do any of that when we talk about it.
This is also the first time. Let's face it, this is the first time that we've had a down market since diversity and inclusion existed as a practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've had we had a 2008 to 2021 to 2021, 2022 bull market. So you have 14-year bull market. We all knew it would come apart at some point. I started sounding the alarm at about 10 years, 12 years. Hey, this probably won't last. Brace for it. So somewhere in those 14 years, probably the second half of it, these tech companies were getting, they were getting really scrutinized. Hey, show us your numbers. They started showing their numbers. So now they're attuned to this. So what do you do in layoffs? Somebody who works in diversity and inclusion is going to say like, hey, wait a second. I'm trying to hit my numbers. You gave me a mandate. And now you just cut my numbers in half. Okay, so now we have to look through it through a lens. Well, what does that even mean? And now I can tell you what's going to happen here. You're going to have somebody who was laid off, or some group of people say, they're going to find some attorney who's going to take on this case. Well, was I fired because I was white or Asian or otherwise Indian, whatever the overrepresented group is? And that's the chaos we're in right now. Nobody has any goodwill. Nobody has any thoughtfulness about this. It's all just dunking.
Right.
I think
when in fact, being
Jeff's a great person who wants to be thoughtful.
Being thoughtful about this is the only, right? Like the reason that companies are in a position where their newest employees are all people of color is because of structural bias. And it would be very easy as a company to basically be like, yeah, we just made this list and we didn't think about why we made this list and we didn't think about who's on it. And if you have a list and it's 90% people of color, the marketplace story that this links to points that out, or quotes someone from an HR and staffing firm saying like, you could put together a list and then look at it through this lens and be like, this list is 90% people of color. It doesn't necessarily mean you change who you lay off, but it would mean that going forward, you'd be like, how did that happen? And how can we correct it?
And we speculated, right?
Plan for the fact that there's going to be a bunch of Twitter threads about how we laid off 90% of our people of color.
You have to be very careful about this. And also, by the way, this is going to be a Supreme Court case next month. All these Ivy League schools have been dealing with this.
Right.
Because they want to have a diverse group of people at the schools. And there are a couple of demographic groups that have over-indexed on standardized testing, which was how they were deciding who got in. Now they're like, okay, we're going to not use that, or we're going to use other criteria, which feels like you just rug pulled the people who you told for 30 years to focus on standardized testing because that was the way in, and now you're rug pulling them, and now they don't get to get in because they did the standardized testing prep that you told them to do. The whole thing is super gnarly. It's like, it's going to be crazy. When this Supreme Court thing comes out, I think it's going to be like another Roe v. Wade bomb. People are going to be like, how do I even think about this? Like, I'm trying to figure out how I think about it, right? Like, should it be merit-based, based on IQ tests? But aren't IQ tests a little bit biased? And then are there actually innate differences, like the book The Bell Curve found, in different demographic groups on how they score on IQ tests? Then is that because there actually is IQ, or is it because your definition of IQ? Right. And it turns out like your definition of IQ and who made the test was a bunch of white Western European people. And that's but one example, like they said in this.
It's a great example, right? Because it's sort of like everything fundamental that we think we know about how to evaluate people is built on some kind of a rotten system. And then how do you start over? Yeah. You can't start. And there will be anybody pretending that there won't be losers is lying to you. There will be winners and losers. There will be people who historically would have gotten jobs who were mediocre, who maybe now won't, because someone better will come along. And you won't just opt into the thing that was your birthright before.
And to go full circle, we had this discussion with the first story on BeReal. Like, is even going for a higher education to an Ivy League school or whatever school going to set you up for success as much as learning to be a coder or to learning to be an entrepreneur, going to Founder University, whatever it is, and seeing how you do on that path, because those people seem to be the ones who are accumulating power and wealth in society. So we're like sitting here fighting over the IQ test and the Ivy League and how they let people in, when in fact, it might be the developers and entrepreneurs who inherit the world and change the world. And it might be your skills that actually define it, not your ability to ace some standardized test, which, I thought there was like a really interesting example I heard on a podcast. Find the source of it, but they were doing the analogy part of the tests. And they're like, blank is to blank, like cup is to saucer. And it's like, by the way, the concept of a cup and saucer is a uniquely like European English thing. Like if you're from, I don't know, India, China, Africa, South America, maybe Ireland, they had it.
Yeah, like depending on where if you weren't a country that was colonized by the British,
you might have never had a saucer.
Cup and saucer means nothing to you.
Saucer means like something flying in the sky. Like it means like a Frisbee. It doesn't mean who puts a plate under a cup and why is there a plate under a cup? Like you drink from a cup. You may drink from a jar, but like a saucer? What does that even mean? So you miss that. You're gonna fail that question. So a lot of this might be a rigged system that is antiquated, that the whole thing needs to be thrown in.
Right.
No easy answer here, folks.
Anyway, it's messy. I congratulate Jeff for opening up.
Great human.
Like a really nuanced conversation and saying like, we're going to keep trying. Because downturns are when companies historically stop trying. Like it's easy to try hard at diversity when you have the luxury and you've got the extra money and you've got the whatever, you're not in some kind of a crisis. And as soon as things get tough is usually when companies are like, we don't have time for that. So good for him.
Well, how about also giving people the benefit of the doubt? I saw him getting savaged on like, all different places, social and in news stories. It's like, how about somebody who has created massive economic value and opportunity for the world, made every product and service 10% better, and we just assume that they're a good person because they've done great work prior, and we just give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, how about we start there?
Like that, right? Like, I don't. If somebody comes along into the world and is like, I'm just trying to make things incrementally better for as many people as I can, and your response is to be like, you're just a woke idiot and a libtard and a snowflake and a da-da-da-da-da. Like, that's on you. That is saying more about you than it is about him, because good for him. But also, yes, social media is the worst. Like,
and you can have a thoughtful discussion about it, right? Like, I think that's, where's the thoughtful discussion about this issue? Well, it's right here.
Like, we just have. I'm not mad. I mean, I'm mad at Twitter.
We just had a thoughtful discussion about it. Like, okay, like it's
complicated.
It's complicated. And you got to be thoughtful. And it sounds like what he said was
intentional, and you have to try. And if everybody who tries gets like screamed out of the room, they're going to stop trying.
My first reaction was he should have said nothing, because it's easier to just put your head down and say nothing.
Right.
But if you say nothing, then you're not having the discourse. We couldn't have had our discourse here without him saying something. So this is the problem in the world. You want to have an intelligent discourse about something, but the cost of even bringing it up is like you're going to get savage. So I think we have to steer towards having like giving people the benefit of the doubt, and then having a thoughtful, vibrant discussion about it, right?
Because I feel like what we have now is intellectual terrorism. Like, it really is.
Sure.
And it stops people from talking.
Yeah, shut people down, attack them. Like you and I have this conversation here. How many people are willing to even have this discussion? And we're two white people having this discussion who are successful and who are, in the Western world, in San Fran Bay Area. So like, it's hard to have these discussions. I'm willing to have them, but you got to come to it with, this could be like the first time society is actually going through this. I think it's the first time society is actually going through this. And so let's just be thoughtful, folks. Okay. It's Monday, so we live in the future.
Yes.
Here we go.
Toronto-based TransPod has unveiled plans for something called a flux jet, which is this is so up my alley, a fully electric transport system that's a hybrid between an aircraft and a train. Okay,
what does that even mean? It looks like a Hyperloop to me, but
it's like a flying maglev. I mean, it's definitely maglev. It's currently in the concept stage, but would involve an 82-foot-long train that levitates magnetically to reduce friction. So they have these in Japan already, these maglev trains.
They go 300 miles an hour, 250.
They go 300. This is bonkers. And then I'm trying to figure out, at some point, it sounds like they plan to build there is some Hyperloop stuff in here. The company plans to build a 200-mile vacuum tube network between Edmonton and Calgary to cover that trip between the two cities in 45 minutes. It would carry up to 54 passengers. Those passenger tickets would be 44% less than plane tickets. And it would pull power. This is what's so interesting, is that it wouldn't be additional strain on the grid. The idea is that it would pull power from the existing electric grid through magnetic fields. So just sort of like relies, I think, on the existence of electricity.
Okay, confusing.
For propulsion. I'm down.
Yeah, okay. They're going to build a 200-mile vacuum tube between Edmonton and Calgary. So they're building the Hyperloop, basically. And they've raised $550 million from British investors. Wow.
Yeah. They say the total project is expected to cost $18 billion. The trains would go 621 miles per hour, faster than a commercial jet and 3 times the speed of most high-speed trains. And trains would leave every 2 minutes.
Incredible. 54 passengers. Yeah. I mean, the big challenge here, at least in the developed world, like fully developed world, is regulations. We don't have the ability to tell people we're putting this thing through your backyard. And we have regulations, and this is the big problem in the United States. Like, to just get this built, they're doing it between their plan is to do the triangle in Texas with the high-speed rail. Austin, Dallas, Houston is a triangle. And so eventually, if you complete the triangle, it's going to be like super fun and fast to go between those cities, and the economic impact will be incredible. But then you look at somewhere like the Northeast Corridor, there's so much regulation, so many different jurisdictions that we can't ever get the Accela to go a reasonable speed.
I mean, don't even get me started on California and their high-speed rail project. That's like 20 to 30 years in the making, and we just light billions of dollars on fire every single year instead of
and here's
public
the
transportation would save gigatons. This is a gigaton scale solution.
But I think the problem I have with this California one is they said it would be like 125 or 150 miles per hour. And I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
If we're going to invest tens of billions of dollars, we're not even getting the speeds they have in Japan and China. Like, can we get this to 250 miles an hour and make it less than 3 hours? Like, if it's still 3 hours to go from San Francisco to LA, or you have to go, it slows down when you get closer. Like, do you realize nobody's going to stop flying in planes? Like, the promise of Southwest at, $99 a flight, and it's an hour flight, people are just not going to they're not going to go to the train depot, which they have to takes them half an hour, 45 minutes to get to.
I wonder,
so frustrating.
I wonder if Canada will have different regulations. Like, you wonder to the extent, it's funny, right? Because democracy is so messy. It's like, like some government would have to come along and basically just declare eminent domain and be like, we're building this. And we have to build it because it's a climate crisis. And it's that, or you all fall into the ocean and die. The end. And that's not going to happen. But
yeah, the eminent domain thing is like, I have an idea for it. Like, we really care about property rights here and everything like that. I think there's got to be some like absurd payment to people where they get like 4 times whatever the assessed value is if eminent domain happens, and the community in California gets to vote on it. There's got to be some trigger where in a democracy we can say, hey, this is for the greater good. Speaking of which, I won't say, exactly where I am in the peninsula, but I just got the email from my NIMBY neighbors. The NIMBY neighbors email me. Would you build an ADU on your property so that we don't have to build housing? And they're like, here's how we skirt the housing. If this many of us build ADUs, and then we say we're going to give it to our domestic staff, or we're going to rent it publicly and we put it at this price, or we rent it to our kids. So there's like a whole little cobble going around, just like the Atherton story. So I'm infiltrated. None of them watch the spots, and they don't know I'm infiltrating. But accessory dwelling units, what they call nanny units, or
which are just
in-law
studios.
units.
Right. They're not a substitute for housing. They're great. They're great to have. They allow multi-gen housing. You can put 1 or 2 people, maybe a couple. Like, it's great when your teenage kid wants to live in there, but like that does not solve housing.
Well, here's the thing. They're doing this, but they're doing it to skirt the regulations of building more units.
That's just astonishing.
And they're kind of, I don't want to say they're explicit about it, but they're explicit about it. So I'm collecting my information and just really like a fly on the wall listening to these conversations. Here's the grift, the rich people grift. Build these ADUs, pretend you're renting them, and get an extension on, because if you have the intent to build it, and you file the form. So if I'm willing to file a form, we can push the issue of multi-unit out 10 years is what the discussion is. So the accessory, which makes sense because even when you're building units, like in the Atherton story with, Mark and Laura Andreessen, in that case, if you said, hey, we're building the units, that's what the government's looking for, right? We're looking for you to break ground, and part of breaking ground is filing. So this is the grift. If we all file that we're doing ADUs, we're in compliance. We kick the can down the road for 10 years.
Potentially don't have to build any ADUs even for 10 years, let alone any multi-unit.
Well, what if I change my mind and somebody else then decides that they're going to do it? So that, we keep, or I do it and then I change my mind that I was going to make it a low rent one.
Yeah.
So they had me fill out a form, and it's like, who's it for? Yourself, domestic help, or anybody who wants to rent it, and what price. And they're kind of like, make it a low price and make it anybody can rent it. So then we check that box.
Right.
Totally. So the manipulation, the fix is in.
The biggest enemy to humanity is all the damn humans, right? Like, this was also most of the reporting that I did around lithium extraction in the United States. Like, we need to extract lithium in the United States. We're going to have to mine our own resources if we want to be energy independent in the future. And everyone's like, yeah, I totally agree. Unless that mine is anywhere near me. And then hell no.
Drill, baby, drill. Let's go. I mean, I think it all changes because of what happened with this Germany-Putin relationship. Like, I don't know if you saw my tweet this weekend. I just went down the geothermal rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It turns out like people stopped doing geothermal because it was like expensive compared to just like putting a furnace in. Mm-hmm. But it turns out geothermal means like you don't need gas and you're independent and off the grid, but it's a pain in the ass to put one in for 15 to 30K instead of one for 5K. But if the Germans do this, and they're pretty good at like, like the government's pretty good over there at getting shit done.
Yeah.
If they just said, hey, we'll buy every geothermal unit, we'll pay to put it in anybody's home, or we'll give you a 50-year loan for it, they could just reduce their dependence on Putin every year by, a couple of percentage points until they're completely energy independent. And nobody's even talking about geothermal.
I know. Geothermal is such a weirdly neglected part of the energy mix. We had Quays on. They're doing like the millimeter wave drilling for like super deep, like ultra deep geothermal. And what was so cool about them is that not only is geothermal totally an overlooked technology, which just makes no sense. There's an I think it's a Google X spin out. Dandelion, I want to say, is a geothermal company that's operating in the eastern seaboard region. Yeah. But what's so interesting about geothermal is that you can take people and equipment from the fossil fuel industry, boop, just convert them to drilling, right?
Basically,
to drilling for geothermal. Like
you drill down. That's the issue is if you install this, right? My understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're more of an expert than I am. You have to drill a hole. So it's a pain in the ass. It used to be it used to be really hard to drill holes. Now you're saying it's getting easier to drill them. Mm-hmm. So you drill a hole, like they can go like 40 feet down, 50 feet down. So if it's freezing in Boston or it's 100 degrees in, I don't know where in California, it turns out the earth is going to be either warm or cold down there. So if it's really hot where you are, it's 40 degrees under there. It'll cool your air to 40 degrees. And if it's hot, if it's freezing cold, it's going to be 50 degrees down there. So it'll help heat your home.
Yeah.
Turns out 50 degrees is good temperature for humans.
Yeah.
That's what it is down there.
I mean, it's really fascinating. We have so many options we actually really do have so many interesting options for energy, and we're just not even,
all right.
It's just been too easy not to do it. And those days are over now. And so we're going to have to start doing it.
The install is expensive and time consuming, but the benefit in the long term is extraordinary. Same with solar, same with battery, same with geothermal.
And there are actually geothermal incentives in the new Inflation Reduction Act.
Fantastic.
Yes, that was the geothermal community got very excited about that because usually they're like completely ignored.
We didn't do the Do Kwon story, but Do Kwon from Luna's allegedly on the run. That's all you need to know.
Yep.
We'll find out more.
Interpol is on the case. Great, man.
Great. Awesome. Red notice coming. Who knows? All right, everybody. What a great episode. Don't forget, tomorrow I am going to speak with Vinny Barara, who is Preet Bharara's brother. And I'm going to talk about the launch of his new startup, Mojo.com, which lets users invest in pro athletes just like their stocks. And they're launching, and they're doing it with football just in time for the season. Really fascinating interview, fascinating guy. Can't wait for people to hear that discussion.
Same. Great conversation. And it's not going to be a slow news week. So just keep coming back every single day. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.